It was hard at first. I mean, there were a lot of days that we slept in a car on an on-ramp, during the evening just because we didn't have money to pay for hotel rooms, so we saved where we could.
My mom would put me in there in a hook-up seatbelt, and I'd go in circles till it ran out of gas. I've been dizzy ever since.
I used to run up to Dale Earnhardt and go, I'm going to sit on the pole, I'm going to win the race. And then he would say, boy, don't tell me what you're going to do, tell me what you did.
Last summer, the Racing Life got the chance to interview 3 NASCAR drivers, Kenny Schrader, Kenny Wallace, and Tony Stewart. We followed Kenny Schrader when he raced a late model at River City Speedway in Grand Forks, and also when the USMTS Tour raced at Red River Valley Speedway in West Fargo.
I was doing a little research on you today, and I read that when you were 3 years old, your dad hooked you up to a go-kart and a pole in the backyard.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Oh yeah, I had an old axle shaft stuck in the backyard in some concrete, cable around it, go-kart on the other end, didn't steer because just went around in circles. My mom would put me in there in a hook-up seatbelt, and I'd go in circles till it ran out of gas. I've been dizzy ever since, still going in circles, but it was pretty cool the day the cable broke. I do remember that.
Really? What happened?
Yeah. Well, I just remember parts of it, but I remember I hit the bird bath eventually. Oh. But I wasn't steering. The steering didn't work.
That's a great story. So was that your first thing you raced was go-karts?
Well, actually, I didn't race go-karts. Ran some quarter midgets.
Okay.
But when we ran the quarter midgets, it was all about fun. It was family fun. There was no seriousness in it at all. And we never ran that good. We ran second one time. Linda King, I run second to Linda King. I don't remember Linda King. I just remember Linda King. She always won, and she could blow a bubble while she was racing with bubble gum, and I could still never make a bubble. And it kind of affected me for the rest of my life. But it was all about having fun when we started, and I'm surprised it ever turned into more. But we've always had fun throughout.
And you're still having fun now. How many states have you made it to now?
Okay, well, first off, we weren't trying to make it.
You weren't trying? Oh,
we're not trying to make it to all these states, but...
You're getting close, though, aren't you?
We're getting close. We're like 6 away, and we're pretty close now. I think we're going to have to try.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hawaii and Alaska, we're wondering about those two.
Hawaii and Alaska, well, they got tracks, and I think we're Idaho, Wyoming, Rhode Island, and one more.
Wow, that's great. Is there any track that you haven't been to, that you haven't raced on, that you want to?
Yeah, I've only raced in about 450 of them, and there's like 1,000, so there's like 550 more that I haven't. So, no, I mean, as far as the ones that you've heard about forever and you've been to, somehow we wound up at them all the time. Now, I say that. There's different parts of the country, North Dakota being one of them, that we've just never brought us up here, and now we're up here for the second time within 2 weeks. So, we're still hitting them.
Oh, good for you. And I told you I was going to stay away from some NASCAR questions, but I just who were some of your favorite drivers to run against when you were doing the Sprint Cup Series? Do you have any guys that you just wanted to give them the chrome horn, or did you wanted to say, come on, draft with me?
You had guys you liked racing with, and I mean, Dale was obviously a lot of fun to race with him. Got to race with him quite a bit. Got crashed by him half a dozen times too. I grew up with Rusty. Rusty was always fun. Mark Martin was definitely good. Tony, I mean, just a bunch of them. But there's so many of them at that level that you just they're fun to race against. Just hard to race against.
It's hard to race against
Yeah,
them.
they're just pretty damn good.
And like you're saying, it's kind of like now these guys, that's their job, and a lot of the drivers are wanting to come back and do this kind of venues where it's just like homegrown grassroots and.
Well, they're just remembering what how it started out, and they're still having. Hey, that's a fun job, and I hate that I don't get to do it every weekend anymore. I mean, I enjoy it every year of it. But we're getting to do some other stuff. I still get to go some of the neat places, driving Harvick's truck some and doing that. So I'd be okay if I wasn't still having fun, but I'm having as much fun at the racetrack, no matter what track it is, as I ever had, and that keeps me busy.
Keeps you busy. What is the best advice that anyone's given you about racing?
Oh, I don't know. Well, years ago when I first started, just as far as driving.
Okay, anything.
As far as driving, a buddy of mine, Dean Roper, taught me that this was flat out and this was off the gas, and there was 1,000 places in between. And what I always tell young kids or something racing a go-kart or a quarter midget or a hobby stock, whatever, that come up to me now and say, what do I need to know? What do I need to know? And I look at them seriously and say, I'll give you some excellent advice if you listen. And they say, okay, what's that? And I said, quit now. You're going to get addicted, and it's going to cost a fortune, and it's going to be a lot of work, so just quit now. But they never do it, and I'm glad they don't.
It goes through your veins, doesn't it? It gets in your blood. Do you have any superstitions about when you're going out on the track? Do you still get nervous? Is there kind of a routine that you take, or you've just done it so many times?
You just climb in. Just climb in and go.
And put your foot down.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the most interesting thing you've put your autograph on?
Probably an artificial leg.
Wow.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been no bad deal if he wouldn't have just reached down at his knee and hit a button inside his pants somewhere, on the outside of his grab button, and his leg fell off, and he handed it to me. That was a little bit of a shell shock there.
Well, what's the strangest question you've ever been asked in an interview?
What's the most unique thing I ever signed?
Okay.
Yeah, no.
All right. I made it up there.
Hey, everybody, come on, gather around the Herminator.
Kenny Wallace was also racing in the USMTS Special at Red River Valley Speedway, and we got a chance to talk with him.
I was going to ask you if people still called you Herman, but obviously that is, you're Herman for the rest of your life now, pretty much?
Well, years ago, there was this big German man, stood about 6'3" his name was Bob Miller, and he nicknamed me Herman the German. And then it was Herman, hey Herman, and then I guess in the late 1998, I out-qualified my brother Rusty a couple times, and it was at Darlington for the Southern 500. Somebody wrote the Herminator on my jack, and the jack's the car. I said, that's it. So I like the Herminator.
When you started racing, Kenny, what was your first number and what was the first thing you raced?
Well, number 36 has always been my number. My mom was the one that dreamed that up. I'm the third son, so there's Rusty, Mike, and then me, so that stands for 3. And then I'm the 6th racer in the family. My dad, my Uncle Gary, my mom, Rusty, Mike, and then me. So 36 means a lot to me. I was born in 1963, so it's backwards.
Okay.
And the first car I ever raced, well, first of all, I ran some go-karts, but it was 1982, Springfield, Illinois, the Illinois Street Stock State Championship, and I won it. That was in '82, and then I never raced really again until 1986. I was really hooked up in helping my brother Rusty make it.
And you were on his pit crew for quite a number of years.
And I also helped my brother Mike a lot when he ran dirt. So yeah, I didn't start racing until late. I didn't start racing until I was 22 years old. So I got a late start.
That was a late start for your family, right?
Yeah, and a late start for anybody nowadays.
Well,
gosh,
that's true. That's true. They start them out like at 5. We have some kids that run out go-karts out here. There's a little 5-year-old out there.
Yeah.
Fun to watch them. I'm going to ask you a question. I was doing some research on you, and some people say that your most famous race was Talladega 2000. You pushed Earnhardt.
Right. Yeah, I've got 9 nationwide wins, 3-time most popular driver, probably 200 top 10s, and you wouldn't think that running second would be my biggest standout. It's not so much mine as it is everybody's. And it wouldn't be such a big race if it wasn't Dale Earnhardt's last win of his life.
Exactly.
So 2000, I finished second and just rammed the rear of Dale Earnhardt's bumper for 2-3 laps, and we went from last to first, and it was a dramatic win. And so we won, and it was really big, and then sad that it was the last win of his life. So yeah, running second to Dale Earnhardt in Talladega was pretty big for me. And then running second to my brother Rusty, actually pushing him too in 1998 to the Bud Shootout. That was pretty big too at Daytona.
Yep. And so who would have ever thought you'd get so much media for being second?
Yeah, and what's weird about finishing second is they always say it's the first loser and nobody remembers second, but my gosh, that day carried me a long way.
That's awesome. And what did he say to you after the race? Did he say anything to you?
Dale Earnhardt got me started in the Nationwide Series. At that time, it was called the Busch Series. So I believe it was 89 maybe, 88, maybe 88. Dale Earnhardt let me drive his Busch car. It was number 8, GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, and I ran it at Martinsville, finished 12th. And he was really good friends with Rusty. And then I became really good friends with Dale. And you know, close relationship, but you know, when Dale passed away, everybody was coming out of the woodwork saying, oh, I'm really close to Dale, and kind of turned me off, so I just stayed quiet about it. But you know, 10, 11 years later, yeah, me and Dale Earnhardt were very close.
That's a great story. I'm glad you would share that with us, because it is kind of sentimental. And
there, I got a book out. I got a book, actually, it's right here. This book right here, Inside Herman's World. As you can tell, the Fords are by Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mark Martin, Kenny Schrader. My whole life is in that book and explains everything. So, but you know, you don't go around bragging to everybody what good friends you are with everybody, you know.
And of course, and that's when NASCAR took a huge turn. When Dale Earnhardt died, people started going, oh, we got to have the 3 up all the time. We got to do this, we got to do that. And you know, you built those relationships before all that happened, and so that means a lot to you, I'm sure. Yep. What's the best advice anybody's given you about racing? Could be about your car.
Oh, absolutely. I've received a lot of great advice that I live by to this day. I mean, I've received a lot of great advice about dirt racing, but I guess my brother Rusty has always given me really good advice, and a lot of them are just things for life. You know, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You know, wear your seatbelt, wear a helmet, make sure your car is safe. Don't always assume that things are going to be okay. That's probably the biggest advice I've got in general from my brother Rusty. And Dale Earnhardt taught me something about racing that really humbled me. He says, you never beat anybody, you outrun them. And I'm like, what do you mean, Dale? He says, well, you might run 5 nights in a row. Don't say you beat a guy. The word beat in Dale Earnhardt's mind meant that you beat him for life. Say I outran. So like tonight, I might have outran my competitor, but the next night he might have outrun me. And that's why it's racing. So that humbled me, because I was pretty crazy when I was a kid. I used to run up to Dale Earnhardt and go, I'm going to sit on the pole, I'm going to win the race. And then he would say, boy, don't tell me what you're going to do, tell me what you did. So, you know, there's a lot of things that really helped me, but those are a handful.
That's great. I don't want to keep you too long, but this your first time in Fargo?
This is my first time in Fargo. Of course, a couple weeks ago we raced in Winnipeg, Canada, but probably this far north, as far as in the United States. You know, we've raced the dirt car all over. So, yeah, but this far north.
I read your favorite food is pork chops and Oriental chicken salad. Is that true?
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's a lot of different foods that I like, but as far as stopping and being able to get something to eat, I like to relax by myself at, say, an Applebee's and get an Oriental chicken salad and sweet tea. That's pretty important. Then, you know, for dinner, I like Cracker Barrel, pork chops, macaroni and cheese, cornbread, sweet tea.
Have you ever had a really nice Norwegian woman make you hot dish?
No, what is a hot dish? I tell you what I really like. I like bread pudding an awful lot. Good bread pudding.
Good bread pudding.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we eat a lot of hot dish up here. That's when you take like 2 cans of soup and you throw it in with whatever meat and a can of vegetables you got, and you throw it in the oven, and that's hot dish.
They would call that fixins down south.
Fixins.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It means you just fix stuff up. Well, thank you.
Here are some sights and sounds of USMTS night.
The Herminator, Kenny Wallace out of Concord, North Carolina. Federated Auto Parts, Connor 9, Kenny Schrader.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Performance Auto, Jamestown Speedway, Valley Alignment and Repair, Quality Engines, Red River Kart Club, Red River Valley Speedway, Dakota Cat, Peterman Seeds, I-94 Speedway, Cheyenne River Kennels, Randall's Excavating, Norman County Raceway, Nugget Vending, Dakota Engine Builders, FargoPicks.com, River City Speedway. Here are the Racing Life's fan pictures of the week.
Our third NASCAR driver interview was with Tony Stewart. We got the chance to talk to Tony at Test and Tune Night at Red River Valley Speedway.
Tony, what was your first racing number?
4 was actually my first racing number, and it was literally as simple as it was a number plate that was on my bicycle that we used as a mud guard on the cart, so it was just easy to adopt it.
It was just easy to keep that number. Who was your racing hero growing up?
AJ Foyt, for sure, and there's no doubt about it. Always has been, always will be.
Awesome. What motivates you?
Being able to come to the racetrack every chance I get, whether it's a dirt track or the cup tracks on the weekends. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I love to do.
Mm-hmm. And so is doing this type of thing a vacation for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't have to worry about points. I don't have to worry about appearances. I get to just come and race, and that's something that we don't get the luxury of doing very often.
Was there something significant that happened in your life that made you want to do so much for charity? You've just done a phenomenal amount of things with your foundation, Prelude to the Dream. Was there anything that just sticks out in your mind that said, this is what
Absolutely.
I want to do?
I mean, it was a situation where, my life growing up in racing, and especially when I decided to make the adjustment to being a full-time race car driver and making a living doing it, it was hard at first. I mean, there were a lot of days that we slept in a car on an on-ramp, during the evening just because we didn't have money to pay for hotel rooms, so we saved where we could. So, along the way, you meet people in different areas of the country, and, all the time there was somebody that had a kid off to college that had a room that you could stay in, or, somebody that gave you $10 to help you with gas money to get to the next race if you had a bad night. So, I never forgot about that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's, when we got to the Cup Series and got in a position where we could give back, I mean, it was something that was very important to us.
Mm-hmm. So how do you kind of describe that, being able to love what you do and help people at the same time? How does that?
Best of both worlds. I mean, it's easy. I mean, you get to do what you love doing, but we're passionate about people. We're passionate about kids and animals, and that's what our foundation's all about. So it's a good feeling.
I'm going to take you back to a race. It was actually it was the Aaron's 312. You had a little girl there from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Brittany Brewster. Mm-hmm. Well, this little girl was in the hospital that night. We're watching this race. You win the race. She looks at you. She was just falling in love with you. She was just having the best time of her life. I had tears streaming down my face. I'm thinking to myself, this guy's amazing. This is fantastic. How does it feel to change people's lives like that?
It's very flattering and humbling. There's a lot of days that I think I'm having a bad day, and you realize that, meeting a lot of these children that have life-threatening illnesses, you realize that my bad day is not a bad day at all. So it's very grounding. It's very humbling, and it's, these kids are an inspiration to us a lot of times, and they remind us that, hey, we've got it pretty good. I mean, what we think's bad or a bad day is not so bad after all.
It was a really, really touching ending to that race. It was fantastic. And besides dirt track racing and a lot of the other stuff, what's a release from your work? Like, what's something that you just like to totally go out and do that you don't get the chance to do that often? It's special.
I've got some property in Indiana, just outside the town that I grew up in, Columbus, Indiana, and that's probably the one thing that if I'm not at a racetrack, at a dirt track somewhere, that's the one thing that I like to do. I like to get back and love fishing on my property. We have a huge deer management program on our property, so that's what we work really hard at. And if I'm not at a dirt track, I'd rather be there.
Mm-hmm. Sounds fantastic. Can I ask you some kind of crazy questions?
Sure.
If you were a cartoon character, who would you be?
Speedy Gonzalez.
If you were in a rock group, what group would it be, or a rock singer?
Led Zeppelin.
If you were in a TV sitcom, what would it be?
That 70s Show.
That's all the questions I have for you,
Perfect.
Tony. Thanks so much.
Here are some sights and sounds of Tony Stewart night.
How exciting is it to be out here and be as close as you are to Tony Stewart's car?
Well, it's pretty cool if you'd just come out. I mean, I might not stand here much longer for him, but I'd stand here all day for Junior.
It's pretty exciting night tonight, huh?
Oh yeah. This is good. Got a crowd over there, so that's kind of cool.
Have you guys been hanging out with Tony all week?
No. Yeah, well, last night we went to Chuck E. Cheese. He'll even tell you, so that was pretty fun. Yeah, took him in the ball crawl. It was a blast. No, not at all. Actually, we were here with him practicing, and just brought the car out and watched him go, and he was 0.3 faster than normal lap times and all that stuff. It was actually pretty amazing how fast and smooth he is.
How exciting is this for you to be racing on the same night as Tony Stewart?
It's pretty exciting to get a chance to race against a guy like that. You know, a guy of that caliber who's obviously, everybody knows who he is, and he's got a lot of experience in NASCAR and actually running dirt late models with his track out in Ohio and everything. And we all, anybody who knows dirt late models knows that he's really good in a dirt late model. So it'll be exciting to see how he stacks up, against the guys here.
Get lined up here. And Don told you we'll come off in corner 2, and there's an entry.
You had him for a little bit, but then fell back. You came back strong at the end. Seemed like you finally got the car figured out on the bottom, but by then it was a little too late.
I told Jeff I didn't know where I needed to be on the bottom or the top. I got passed for the lead on the bottom, got passed for second on the top, and my teammate got by me on the bottom, and then I got him snookered in traffic there.
This is a great moment. I'm not lying, but it's just one night, and really he's just another driver. I mean, he's a good driver. I got nothing against him, but he's just another race car driver. This is nothing like winning a national championship or nothing like that. So yeah, there's always bigger and better things to move on to. That's for darn sure. I'm probably going to dedicate this one to my new little boy, Cade.
Awesome. How old is he?
6 months.
Oh my gosh. Good job, Dad.
Thanks. Appreciate it.